competition's over, Sinners is the greatest movie of 2025 by far, grossing $161 million worldwide box office for its second weekend. Domestically, it was $45 million, which is only a 6% drop. This even got Variety to change up their attitude towards Sinners, even saying that it scored a massive $45 million in its second week, unlike a couple of days ago when it used the budget to say how not good Sinners was doing. Yeah, and a lot of people went after Variety for saying this, because Sinners is an original movie. Sinners brought cultures together. Sinners has some of the greatest music of all time in it. And Sinners is the greatest vampire musical I've ever seen in my life. And it's the greatest vampire movie I've ever seen in my life outside of Blade. I rewatched Blade after I made my last video, and yeah, it's still the best. Please stop spamming this Predator film in my comments, okay? That vampire's over 100 years old to somebody not of age, okay? And the werewolf should have been insanely stronger. But congratulations to Sinners being the best movie of all time as far as vampires go, and definitely the greatest movie of 2025. Have you seen Sinners?
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a reaction video on the movie Sinners. So I went to see Sinners maybe Saturday, late night. Yeah, literally like 9:50 at night was the movie. My mom was like, don't bring your kids until it's bedtime because they'll be listening sometimes. So I couldn't bring them till it's bedtime. But nevertheless, it was awesome. I enjoyed every bit of it, number one. Number two, I went to see it because I have been hearing so much about it and people's been ranting and raving and going crazy about it. So let me say this before we start. Number one, this will be a spoiler video. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it to be spoiled, then don't watch it, or you can watch it and then because I watched some breakdown videos and I still was pleasantly surprised and happy about the movie. It was phenomenal. Michael B. Jordan did a great job playing two different characters, and my favorite character was Annie. I loved Annie. I really liked them all, but I love Annie because I was like, yes. Yes. Annie was on her shit. And I loved her. But, this is going to be a long video because it was so many different things. And I still had to take some stuff out. I couldn't put everything I wanted to because when I put it together, it was like over an hour. So I had to cut it down to trying to get it up. Y'all, so listen, my apologies if you guys hear the fire alarm that's going off. But it's so high in like the entrance of the house that I can't reach it. So I'm waiting so I can get someone to take care of that for me because it is so high up. And I'm only 5'2". So if y'all hear that, that's what that is. But it'll be taken care of sooner rather than later. But I don't know why my light keeps messing up, but I have been having this ring light for like ever. So, I might need to get a new one for that light. But this light over here is fine, but we'll just have to figure it out. Nevertheless, I'm not going to keep you. I'm not going to hold y'all. I have been rambling. So without any further ado, go get whatever it is that you need to chill with me, and let's get this thing going. So let's go. So I had to speed it up for copyright purposes, but when I tell you the I Lied to You song scene was like one of my favorite because it really took it from like past to present. It was amazing. But I encourage you to go hear the song regular without it sped up, and I have it in here periodically because I like that song. That's my little song. I lied to you. But let's keep going, y'all. I just wanted to just get it, turn a little bit, just, get it all loose and stuff so we can keep this thing going.
Red bitch, hit the same damn track, hit the same damn track, hit the same damn track.
That part of the movie actually did gross me out. I ain't gonna lie. When she just like into his mouth, it's just like, oof. But for each his own. Some people like that. I just was like, but, she was an interesting character, I got to say. And, see, Mary, I'm not gonna say she was the reason per se why everything kind of went downhill, because it was really a combination of them taking what nickels, which we're gonna get into, versus actual cash, and her having to, since she was the one that could pass between black and white, go and talk to Remick and the other two vampires that he turned, so they can start getting some money into the establishment. Because when they looked at the money that had came in the till, nothing was, it wasn't panning out. So I can't say she's like solely, but that's when she had first turned, and he didn't know, and so needless to say, that whole scene turned into his downfall too. But let's keep going, y'all.
Let's talk about the movie Sinners and the actual symbolism behind some of this. And this is not really a spoiler, but it is, but it's not at the same time. But you have to have watched the movie to understand. I've been saying a lot of people talk about why the twins were red and one were blue and the symbolism behind that, but all y'all are wrong. Ryan Coogler literally said at an interview that he chose twins to embody the Nigerian Orisha spirits, the Ibeji twins. Now, the Ibeji twins in Nigeria is very symbolic. And some people believe that twins are supernatural or bad luck or some sort of bad omen. And the Ibeji twins are most depicted wearing red and blue, because some people say that that symbolizes Yemaya, which is the mother of all. She is like a mermaid spirit, Orisha, and Shango, and his color was red. And Ryan Coogler, the man who made this movie, literally stated that in an interview, that is where the concept of the twins came in. Because so many Africans came from West Africa, and the movie is based on a lot of different African Americans. And then another thing that is literally crazy to me is Preacher Boy, the really good dude that grew up in the church at the beginning. He wanted to pursue his dreams with the blues and all that, is giving Robert Johnson. And y'all know I've done several videos about Robert Johnson. He allegedly went to the crossroads in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and sold his soul to the devil. And they said he met up with Papa Legba. And if y'all not familiar with Papa Legba, I have a lot of videos on him, and he is basically the crossroad deity. He is the one that allows you to get to the crossroads to the other side to get to where you want to go. But allegedly, he sold his soul, and that is how he became Robert Johnson, like one of the best blues musicians in the world. He tuned his guitar, and after that, he was phenomenal, because before he was very mediocre. But after he went to the crossroads and made a deal with a man in black, that is how he became who he was. And this is all the things that Robert Johnson said happened. He made songs talking about his experience at the crossroads and how he sold his soul and made his deal. And that's where the Preacher Boy comes in the movie. He grew up in the church. He grew up around all this love and, biblical stuff. And he wanted to be a blues musician, to the point he would do anything. And Ryan Coogler said the concept of that ties in with the Robert Johnson and Papa Legba situation with the Preacher Boy. What kind of deals people do in oppressive situations. So basically, people would literally sell their soul, forget their roots, forget everything just to be on top. And that's where the whole Papa Legba and Robert Johnson come in. So that's literally who Preacher Boy's character was supposed to be. And y'all can look up the interviews. The producer, the man who made the movie, stated that. I've been seeing so many different videos of people and talking about what they think it symbolizes and stuff like that. But no, this is exactly what he stated. This movie have a lot of Nigerian and West African culture, and I love it. But to me, I really enjoyed this movie, but I feel like it was so good that I wanted more. Like, I wanted them to explain more of the Native Americans and how they tied into the movie. Because if you watch the movie, the Native Americans come to the people's house to look for the vampire and all that. And then after that, they just went on and they wasn't featured anymore. I also wanted to know more about the twins before they moved to Chicago. I wanted to know more about that. But I get the movie was already long. There's only so much you can put in a movie. But the movie was really, really good. And I did not know that this was deeply inspired by the Orishas and the Yoruba culture in Nigeria and a lot of Haitian culture as well. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and if y'all seen the movie.
Well, she broke it down really well. I did want to piggyback off of when I worked on American Horror Story Coven. I did a scene with Papa Legba where he was in the chicken shack where Gabrielle Sidibe, I think it's her last name, but she was went to hell, where you were reliving like your dreaded life experience over and over again, which was her job at the chicken shack. And Papa Legba was the deity that met her at that chicken shack. And excuse me, but that was pretty interesting. So I had worked when I did that movie, when I played, if you've seen my Wicked review, you will see I showed you a picture of me as a witch playing in the movie, the series Coven. It wasn't no like main role, so don't, just a little boop, boop, a little splash, extra, it was not late. But nevertheless, Mississippi, if you can tell that we're in Mississippi with our background, but I want to take the time to state how beautiful Mississippi is, especially like the hill areas of Mississippi. I have some pictures playing over here that just show some different, like just me driving through Mississippi. And when I tell you the hills be healing, oh my goodness, it be hill, like the hills is steep. But nevertheless, I love Mississippi. Family there is amazing. Probably will be going soon. So shout outs to Mississippi, Vicksburg. Love you guys. See you guys. But let's keep this thing going.
With the spiritual deity, like Papa Legba, who is arguably who they say Tommy Johnson or Robert Johnson sat down at the crossroads to get they guitar tune and sold their soul for musical skills for the remainder of their life. That in that concept of what type of deals do people in oppressive situations have to make and have to rationalize, and me realizing that, oh yeah, man, I'm from Oakland, but it was a time when there wasn't no black people in Oakland. They all had to come from somewhere. And where did they leave? You know what I'm saying? They left home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if for me it was like, oh yeah, it's always a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Mary, Mary, Mary. Been a Creole woman. Mary represented the one drop rule. Now let's get into it, baby. Now when dealing with the U.S. Census, you're talking about the perspective of race. And it counts people according to how the nation defines other people. And historically, they're talking about black people. Or if you had any known type of black ancestry, you hear me? Now blacks are defined by the one drop rule. And no other race or ethnic group is defined by this formula. And the one drop rule begins during colonial enslavement. Now during this time, if you was white, you was free. And if you was black, you was enslaved. But the social order began to come very complicated by the mixing of different races. The lines between white and black and free and enslaved became very blurred. Now during this time, the mixing was very common, but it was very looked down upon, meaning that it was very discouraged during this time to be mixing races with black people. And during this time, any white person, male or female, if they were suspected of doing any type of interracial sexual course with the person, it was publicly punished. So at this time, racial mixing caused all sorts of problems because blacks far outnumbered the whites and the whites was afraid of losing control over the enslaved population. Now, what lay beneath their physical fears was the psychological fears, you heard me? So in order to maintain white supremacy, whiteness had to remain pure. Now, in 1705, it defined Negro as grandchild, great-grandchild, or son of a great-grandchild of a Negro, or at least have 1/8 of a Negro in order to be considered a Negro. So by this definition, mulattoes were considered black. And soon later on, other states started to follow suit with the law. Now in 1718, the term Creole was formed in New Orleans. And the word Creole means beget or create. Now Creoles were indeed created, the result of intermixing throughout different generations, which is considered Europeans, French, Spanish, African, and also indigenous people. And at this time, Creoles functioned as a buffer status to help the whites be able to maintain their white dominance order. And the Creoles also helped keep the unmixed blacks in their place, you heard me? Now, at one time, laws were created to keep Creoles from mingling and interacting with the dark-skinned black people. And also under Louisiana law, Creoles were considered free people. Black people were considered unfree. So over time, after receiving the acknowledgement of whites, Creoles were considered a superior class over black people because they possessed more white blood over Negro blood. So out the movie, you're able to understand why Mary is able to code switch so easily. Because on one side, she's able to be considered white, and on the other side, she's able to be considered black. So over time, many Creole women and men will begin to take extreme pride over their light skin color.
I loved his breakdown. Shout out to him. I want to say, because I'm of Creole descent, I'm from the 7th Ward of New Orleans. Hello. And if you know anything about the 7th Ward, you will understand that that is of great significance with Creoles and things like that. My hair is irritating me, but nevertheless, y'all, if you was to look at a picture of my family, we are literally like a gumbo, a melting pot. In the movie, Mary's great grandfather was half black. That's not the case over here at all. But I will say this. For me, I struggled with not really being accepted in any segment like that. Even when I moved to Texas, I moved to Houston, they thought I was Hispanic. And when they found out that I wasn't Hispanic, that I was from New Orleans, and that's just how we be looking, I had issues then. I just want you guys to notice that we are always, as a society, or as a race, pinned against each other. And it's because we possess something so amazing that I feel as though keeping the separation, keeping us pinned against each other, keeping us divided is the only way that the other people can dominate over us. Because if we actually got together and actually realized that we have more in common than not, regardless of skin tone in our race, man, we'll be a force to be reckoned with. I can go on and on about that, but I do know that my family's a rainbow. We have from dark-skinned to light-skinned to this type of hair, that type of hair, this feature, that feature, big butts, no butt. I'm just saying, as a race of people, I just think that we're so beautiful and unique. And I feel like we should embrace each other because we're all beautiful, be it dark or light. All beautiful. And no knock to no other races that because, but right now this is I'm talking to us because I just feel like we get pinned against each other for some of the stupidest shit like color. But let's keep going.
Like I said, Sinners was a whole spiritual download wrapped in a ritual. We're going to start at the juke joint with the twin brothers smoking stag. They came back to Mississippi in the Jim Crow era to open up their black-owned juke joint. We all know the juke joint wasn't just no club. That was a sacred space for us. It was a safe zone where black folks could gather, be themselves, dance, laugh, cry, sing. Most importantly, where they could remember who they were. Enter Sammy, their little cousin who has this amazing gift. I ain't just talking about a musical talent, I'm talking about a spiritual frequency. Sammy could play the blues in a way that could call spirit. This is the whole reason why Remick, which was that first vampire that showed up, this is why he wanted Sammy. He was actually willing to let everybody else live as long as he got Sammy. He said Sammy could play music so good that it could connect the souls of different eras. The movie, the music opened portals, so this is what we mean when we talk about music today and we say it's a conjuring tool. It's a weapon, it's a bridge, it's a spell. The moment he touched that guitar, you could feel the ancestors move. You could feel spirit rise. Why? Because sound is vibration. Vibration is how we move between realms. But here's where it gets real, because that same power that Sammy held also attracted the darkness. Because when you get there, you don't just attract light, you attract everything, and that includes spiritual parasites, energy vampires, and people who don't want to own what they don't understand. Let's talk about the vampires, shall we? Because they weren't just thirsty for blood. They was thirsty for culture. Now, Remick and his folks didn't want to unalive Sammy. They wanted to own him, own his music, own his power, own his frequency. That's colonization as we know it. This is what they've done to our culture. The black creativity. This is part 2 of the Sinners decoding. Got to break down the bloodlines and the churches. Definitely got to talk about Stack, Smoke, and Sammy's bloodline, because when I tell y'all that thing is layered, the theme of this movie wasn't just a fight against vampires. This was a fight against trauma, ego, ancestral, and generational cycles. Smoke, the older brother, was too busy trying to prove himself. Stack was a little bit more protective. Neither of them fully understood the gift that Sammy was carrying. None of them understood that the gift as well as the curse ran straight through their ancestral bloodline. We gotta talk about that spicy scene between Mary and one of the twins. That wasn't just sex. That shit was a spiritual contract. Yeah, I'm talking about the part where they exchanged bodily fluids. And who do we know and understand that bodily fluids are spirit carriers? The moment she exchanged saliva with him, she binded herself to him, aka tied herself to him. This is why you gotta be mindful who you connecting with. Don't call it sacred energy exchange for nothing. You wondering why you got people jumping out the bushes, busting out your windows, busting out your tires, coming in your house, especially when you tell them you done. You don't even realize you signed a contract. Did y'all peep how the movie starts and ends in the church? That was real intentional, because in many black families, especially in the South, church is the place where salvation and suppression meet. Sammy's father called him a sinner for playing the blues. The blues was his therapy, his connection to God, aka his higher self. That's the core message. The very thing they shame you for might be the very thing to save you. Y'all know how I feel about
it. I like her breakdown. I will say this. I know that kissing and stuff is exchange of saliva. It's just the spitting, like that just was just gross to me. So when I make that face, I get it. And that's why you shouldn't be kissing and really doing none of that until you with that. Because you know that's a connection. And that's some, and I ain't never understood that when I was younger, but I like overstand it now. Like, I'm not trying to be connected to nobody like that unless it's my connection, if that makes sense. But I like her breakdown, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think so far in the comments. And if you've seen the movie, let me know what you think. And if you haven't, let me know what you think. And let me know if you're going to go see it. But let's keep going, y'all.
Remick is the standout villain from the movie Sinners. His character is layered, symbolic, and deeply unsettling. Let's dive deep into his background and what he represents. Remick is an Irish vampire traveling through the southern United States, spreading a so-called gospel of fellowship and love. In reality, he's just turning people into vampires, bringing them into his cult-like community. Now, what makes him interesting isn't the fact that he's a vampire, but that his character has historical ties to the struggle of Irish people, especially their migration to America and their impact on culture and music. Now, Remick sees a connection between his own people and the history of oppression that black people have faced in America. Because of this, he targets the black community and offers them a twisted version of salvation and belonging. He argues that both black people and Irish people are marginalized and equally erased. Now, there are parallels between us and them, however, there is a big difference. Eventually, Irish people were accepted into being white and into the fold of white privilege, whereas black people were and are denied those same opportunities. And that's where Remick becomes extremely dangerous. He sees himself as a savior savior, but he's building his vision off the backs of black people and their culture. And remember, there's a key line that Slim said earlier in the movie, and that is that white people, they love the blues, but they don't love the people that are making it. Remic's no different. He loves the culture, the struggle, the soul, but not enough to truly respect or center the people behind it. A powerful moment in the movie is when Sammy is reciting a prayer and Remick joins in, mocking the ritual. Remick tells Sammy that Christianity was forced upon his people the same way that it was forced on Remick's ancestors. And all feelings aside, he ain't lying. It's truly a chilling scene because it shows how Remick is using trauma as a tool of manipulation. You could argue that Remick means well, but in reality, he's using black culture and the black struggle to build his own sanctuary. And that's not solidarity, it's exploitation.
Well, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments.
Talk about in it! I'm talking about in it! I'm talking about in it!
He was handling it. So that was like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all I was in the movie like this.
This scene from Sinners is actually one of my favorite ways to explain the difference between ancestor veneration and ancestor worship to some people. See, a lot of people think that we who are spiritual are sinners because we practice ancestor veneration. To venerate means to honor. It is not to worship. In this scene, Smoke is visiting the grave of he and Addie's baby who passed away, who transitioned. On this grave, you see a stone with the baby's handprint. You see a grave marker, which could be an obsidian piece or some type of crystal piece. And then you also see a bottle that could be filled with either salt or milk. I think it's milk, which either way, it is an offering to the baby, something to represent and honor the baby. Then when Smoke goes to the grave, he puts down some flowers as an offering to honor the baby. That is a form of ancestor veneration. So if you've ever been to a cemetery or to a graveyard to visit an ancestor, somebody in your family who has transitioned, and you bought some flowers or you bought something to honor them, you have practiced ancestor veneration. If you grew up in a house where your family had an ancestor wall, they had a wall of pictures with people who've passed away, that's a form of ancestor veneration. You did that to honor your ancestors. If you ever made something like your grandmama made it to honor her and honor, or wore something, Uncle Johnny made my dress, wore something in honor of somebody who transitioned, that is a form of ancestor veneration. If you've ever poured out some libations in honor of the homies or somebody who transitioned, that is a form of ancestor veneration. Anytime you do something to honor in memory of somebody who has transitioned, you are practicing ancestor veneration. See, ancestor worship would look like being like, oh, we pray to you, holy grail ancestor. Nobody's doing that. We are simply honoring our ancestors, which is something that most of us do. You give thanks and gratitude to them for what they have contributed to your life by giving them things in honor of them or by doing things in honor of them. That is ancestor veneration.
I think she explained that perfectly. And like I said in my last video, I wear this bracelet because my sister-in-law, who passed away from breast cancer, her daughter makes these, and this was passed down to my daughter, and I from out of her actual jewelry box that she, was given to us after she passed on. And so I wear this damn near every video. You may see this on my arm, in honor of her. So I feel as though, and we go to the cemetery. We're buried in above ground here, in New Orleans, but we put flowers. And I think that for instance, I was telling someone, a prophetess is the same thing as a psychic. They prophesy and tell in the future. The psychic is telling you the future. Same thing. It's just that we have made a stigma upon certain things to demonize it. When you're doing the same thing, you're just giving it a different name. Make it make sense. But let's keep going.
Let's talk about the song Pick, Pour, Rob, and Clean and Sinners, because I just did a little bit of research and it's kind of crazy. Spoilers if you haven't seen Sinners, so drop a like and come back later. And also, can I be your movie guy? In order to understand what this song means in the movie, we have to understand where exactly this song came from. Now, this song obviously is a double entendre because you have a set of vampires talking about eating someone, which is exactly what they do to most of the town. Now, the original song was recorded by Geechee Wiley, and you can actually listen to her original version on the Sinner soundtrack, but this was the first thing that I heard.
Hello there, Slack. What are you doing down here? Oh, I'm just down here trying to say these bars look hot driving. Let me hear it then.
Then I immediately asked myself, what the hell is a cock robin? This is where we get into the layers, because a cock robin is a nursery rhyme about a bird who was killed and all the animals gathering things from him in order to do a funeral. But a cock robin is also a slang term for a person who's easily persuaded to follow others. Remick and the other vampires are trying to persuade the people in the juke joint to come outside so they can kill them and join them. Everybody in the juke joint are the cock robins ready to be picked by Remick. But there's one more element to this. A big thing in the movie is that the vampires are not just vampires for blood, but vampires of culture, taking it away from everybody and making it their own, assimilating it basically. And the main subject of Geechee's original song is that of a black person who's taking advantage of the dead Robin to take what they can because they're just trying to get by. But the vampires took that song and repurposed it for their own ends. And to add insult to injury, it was said that Geechee recorded this song in 1931. The setting of this movie is 1932, so they had just done this.
Whoa. This is why I was saying this movie has so many hidden elements and so many little things and gems. It's like it would be all day picking it apart. It was so amazing.
One of my favorite scenes from Sinners is the wooden nickel scene. This was the scene where they were in the juke joints and Annie was selling a brother some alcohol and he didn't have enough money to pay for it. So he told her, hey, I got some coins, but I could also give you these wooden nickels. And he said you could cash them in at this general store. And it immediately reminded me of my granddaddy, who was born in 1933. And my granddaddy was born in the South and he moved to New York in the 1950s during the Second Great Migration. And my granddaddy had all of these countryman sayings that he would say, and one of them was, don't take no wooden nickels, get your lessons, don't take no wooden nickels. And I was like, get your lessons, don't take no wooden nickels. I remember as I became an adult, I would ask him all of these questions. And I said, Granddaddy, what's a wooden nickel? Why do y'all say wooden nickel? I know what you mean, but why do y'all say it? And my granddaddy told me, baby, back in the day, we ain't have no gift cards. All we had was wooden nickels. When the store ain't want to give you no money, they would give you the wooden nickels instead, and we would trade those in for the value of the money we were supposed to get. And essentially what he was describing was what we call store credit. When a store didn't want to give you a refund for your items, they would give you a store credit. Nowadays, we would get that credit in a gift card, or you might even have it just attached to a phone number. They could type in and see you got some store credit because everything is digital now. But back in the day, they would give you a wooden coin that had the store stamp on the front of it, and on the back of it, it had the value of the coin. So what people would do to try to hustle folks, when they would pay for something, they would pay with a handful of money, and within those coins that was in the handful would be some wooden nickels. And their goal, their hope was that they'll be able to walk out the store with the item before you got time to count out all the money and realize you got some wooden nickels. So when they tell you don't take no wooden nickels, they're really telling you don't take no shorts. Don't let nobody hand you a handful of money and really they shorten you out of what they owe you because they just giving you some wooden nickels that ain't good for nothing but the store they got it from. And it's important to acknowledge that these wooden nickels were often used as a tool to stop black people from gaining wealth, simply because a lot of our ancestors and some elders were paid with wooden nickels, so that their resources, their money could only be used and spent at the general stores that were owned by the people who owned the plantations, who owned the land, who owned the factories. So the dollar would consistently be circulating back to the colonizer and never circulating within the black community because it wasn't good for nowhere but the store that gave them to you. For Ryan Coogler to choose to incorporate this history lesson that's connected to an old black saying like don't take no wooden nickels, that to me was just beautiful because it spoke to the nuance, the deep levels of black history that he was was willing to incorporate in the film. See, this film, Sinners, wasn't just surface level Black history. It wasn't just the big popular historical facts and figures that we know. He said, let me give you some real wisdom that your granddaddy or your great granddaddy or grandmama might have told you. Let me tell you what the root to that tree of wisdom is. Now, with that being stated, don't take no wooden nickels.
So, I will say this about Whit Nichols. That was another one of my favorite episodes because my Mimi, who passed away in 2014, used to always tell me growing up, don't take no Whit Nichols, don't take no Whit Nichols, don't take no Whit Nichols. She told anybody, don't take no Whit Nichols. And it took all the way to 2025 for it to come full circle, for me to fully understand. I knew what she was saying, but it made so much sense. So to see her break that down and to hear that in the movie theaters, I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I'm like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? You heard the Whit Nichols? You heard Whit Nichols? It was just so amazing. And I miss Mimi so much. The side note, the funny thing is my kids call my grandma now Mimi. And Mimi was her sister who passed away. So they just recycled the name. But don't take no Whit Nichols, y'all. Let's keep going now.
What y'all doing? Just step aside and let me on in now.
Why you need him to do that? You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie? I don't know why I'm talking to you anyway. Smoke.
Don't talk to him. You talking to me right now. Why you can't just walk your big ass up in here without an invite, huh? Go ahead. Admit to it.
Admit to what?
That you gay. Smoke, you listening to this? Now, we out here playing games, telling ghost stories, in place of doing what we ought to do. And what is it we supposed to be doing? Being kind to one another. And being polite? Now, we is one people, and we shouldn't go in barging into other folks' places uninvited, so... I've been in and out of here all day. Ain't never need an invite, Dean. Yeah, some lane ad, no. Can I at least get my money?
Careful.
He thought he was slick though, huh? But Annie had one for him. She called him. She clocked it right there. That's why I liked her. Let's keep going.
So I want to talk about this scene right here.
I am.
Ryan Coogler doesn't introduce Remick like your typical vampire. He doesn't rise from a coffin or creep through shadows. He falls. Literally. The first time we see him, his body appears to be dropping from the sky. The camera doesn't fully confirm it, but the visual language is loud and clear. This is a descent. His skin is burning under the sun, and he crashes violently to the ground. It's not just a dramatic entrance, it's a symbolic one. I think Coogler is tapping into something deeper. This isn't just a vampire arriving, it's a fallen being unleashed. And that's where the myth of the fallen angel comes in. Everything about Remick's introduction mirrors that. He's scorched by the light, weakened, disoriented, stripped of any elegance or power. He's not gliding in like some untouchable threat. He's crawling, wounded, desperate. Just like Lucifer in religious mythology, cast out, punished, and transformed. The sun doesn't just hurt him physically, it judges him. It marks him as unnatural. And Coogler doesn't stop there. He adds vultures circling overhead. Death is coming, and the land already knows. This isn't just a physical fall, it's a moral one. What makes that imagery so effective is how it reshapes the entire narrative. This isn't just a horror movie with a supernatural villain. This is a story about intrusion, about something breaking through where it doesn't belong, about what happens when evil that's been cast out finds a way back in. But here's the twist. Remick doesn't just rise up and start attacking people. He limps his way to the doorstep of a white couple. The husband is a known clan member, but instead of reacting with suspicion, they let him in. Why? Because Remick knows how to perform vulnerability. He's not demanding entry. He's playing the victim. He speaks calmly, flatters their worldview, and presents himself as someone on their side. He positions himself against the Choctaw hunters. He talks about gold. He doesn't come in forcefully. He makes them want to help him. And that's the danger. That's the power of the fallen angel archetype. It's not brute strength, it's manipulation. And it's such a deliberate, powerful choice. Remick isn't storming into town, he's infiltrating it. Not with fangs, but with soft eyes and empty hands. That's the horror Coogler's leaning into here. Evil doesn't always scream, sometimes it whispers. It shows up looking wounded. It makes itself familiar, even comforting. It asks to be let in. And people open the door. That's why this introduction is so much more than just a cool shot. It's the blueprint for what the entire film is doing. Sinners isn't just about vampires and blood. It's a parable about how evil re-enters the world, not through force, but through seduction, through sympathy, through the illusion of shared struggle. Because Remick may look broken when he falls, but that's the point. Fallen angels don't lose power. They just learn how to use it differently. They change tactics. They wear pain like a disguise. And the scariest part? It works. I think Coogler's saying something real here, that the most dangerous forces don't always feel like invaders. Sometimes they feel like something you recognize, something that aligns with your fears, your anger, even your sense of justice. And that's why Remick is so terrifying. Not because he shows up as a monster, but because he shows up as someone you're willing to help. And that's the real horror.
He ate.
I feel like a lot of people watching Sinners are American or British, and because of that, they didn't notice the reference of the Yoruba tribal marks on Sammy's face. Like, you know, the claw marks from the vampire. When Sammy ages, they turn into Yoruba tribal marks. And I think a lot of people, just because they're not from West Africa, they're not from Nigeria, they didn't recognize what that was. They just thought it was healed scars. But actually, Yoruba tribal marks are something that we see less of them nowadays, but people like my parents' generation and the one before then, when a child is born, they would literally scar the child's face and they would look like claw marks. And the reason is actually to ward off evil spirits. And the scars are permanent for the rest of your life. So literally when I saw that happen, I gasped because that was so fucking symbolic. It is something that's getting less popular because as society progresses, people start to ask the really vital questions, which I agree with. And that is like, how ethical is it to scar a child? Because oftentimes this is done like when the kid is just a few months old. I don't like it. I think it's unfair to impose that on someone when they're kids, but yeah, I just saw it in that movie and I was like, oh my God, symbolism.
Never knew that. Learn something new every day. But let's keep going.
I saw a few reviews and a few takes where people think that Sammy may have turned into a vampire after all because they did not see his reflection in the mirror. But I'm showing you right now, I saw this clip and I took a screenshot. And if you look in the corner, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the mirror, there's Sammy's reflection. So nope, he did not turn. He did not sell his soul for music. He didn't make any particular compromise to do music. He is a full human being. Even when Stack sniffed him and he could smell that he was about to check out, he was like, you don't have much longer. So Sammy maintained the integrity of his humanity. He did not turn into a vampire, and he has his reflection in this mirror.
Preacher boy, in the wash up Paris, walked here.
You're beautiful. I just want to taste you.
I mean, he didn't care about the sweat. He said, bring that sweaty kitty here. Oh. Let's keep going, y'all.
It might hurt you, but don't lose your mind. When I was just a boy, about 8 years old, threw me a Bible on my Mississippi Road. See, I love you, my boy. You did all you could do. And they said the truth hurts, so I lied to you.
I keep telling y'all, you keep playing around with the spiritual realm and you're going to bring something into your life that you're not going to be able to get out. And even though the Sinners movie is one of the best movies I've seen this year, I'm letting you know, if you have a heavy heart, if you have a weak spirit, you need not to go see this movie. Again, I did a review on this movie and I explained to people that this movie was a great movie to me. But somebody asked me about this movie on a spiritual level and I had to let them know. To be honestly speaking with you, I've seen the movie twice already. I went and seen it Friday night and I've seen it again today. And it's certain parts of that movie that's going to touch your spirits. It's certain parts of that movie that's going to make you want to leave that movie and pray. Aside from the fact that the vampire scenes seem so real, listen to the conversation. Listen to how convincing they are. That shit is scary. It's a part of the movie where Delta Slim says to the preacher boy that the devil came for him when he was younger. Basically because of the music that he chose to play. You know how real that shit is? Then, once again, how convincing these vampires are when they're trying to get in your door. They'll come to the door and they'll stand in front of that door and they will try and convince you to let them in that door. I've seen vampire movies. I love vampire movies. But this vampire movie right here, it was able to mess with my spirit. And like I said, I already seen the movie twice. It was a great movie. If you are not ready for that, please do not go there. This movie will definitely weigh heavy on your spirit. And to be honest with you, like I said, I watched that movie twice. But my spirit told me, do not watch that movie again. Don't watch that movie again. That movie is a heavy movie. It's a good movie, and I'm not taking nothing away from the people who made it, but it's a very heavy movie if you have understanding. And I don't want to get too deep into it, because it's a good movie. But always remember this. These people who make these movies put them here for a reason. You just got to figure out the reason why they put that movie here. Pay attention.
Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. You know, it was very much a heavy movie. Yeah, it was. It had a lot of references and a lot of little subliminals. I had said when I left the movie, and I didn't really pay attention because I missed that part. But I said I hadn't seen a checkerboard, and I ended up seeing a checkerboard in the end at the end, the first end credit, I think was the first one, where Stack and Mary met up with the older Sammy, and Mary had on that racing jacket, which had the checkerboards. And at first I said, I ain't seen no checkerboard. And then I did. It was at the end. So the checkerboard did make its way in there because it makes its way in every movie. There's a checkerboard, whether it's on your clothes, on the floor, on this, on that. It's a checkerboard somewhere. It's a checkerboard. Let's keep going.
The 7 deadly sins are portrayed as characters in the film Sinners. Stack is greed. He seems to be the driving force behind getting money by any means necessary. He's the schemer. His decisions aren't made for the stability and the well-being of himself and his brother. He wants more for the sake of having more. Smoke is wrath. He errs on the side of vengeance, whether it's righteous or not, and that is his downfall. And we see this when he stays behind to kill the clan members, even though he could have fled with Sammy. Speaking of Sammy, he represents sloth. We hear sloth and we tend to think of outright laziness, but sloth from a biblical sense is a neglect of spiritual duty, a spiritual apathy that pushes him into not taking heed of his father's warning. Perline is undoubtedly lust. She's married, she knew good and well Sammy wanted her, and she gave into the temptation of the flesh. No further explanation needed. Delta Slim is gluttony. He is a drunkard whose only focus is to drown out any feelings of sorrow with a bottle. We see him go to the juke joint not even for more money, but for his insatiable thirst for liquor. Remick is envy. He wants Sammy's talent, his songs, and his ability to connect to his ancestors. We see this connection being opened up and felt by everyone in the juke joint through Sammy's music. Remick wants that power for himself. Finally, Grace's pride. She had an inflated sense of self-importance. What she wanted was more important than keeping the entire group safe, and because of her actions, more people were killed. Some of you may say Smoke was actually pride and Grace was wrath, or maybe Mary was envy because she couldn't be with Stack since she was white passing, and therefore she she envies other couples in the community. Either way, tell me what you thought of Sinners and if you think the 7 characters fit the 7 deadly sins. I'm The Real Voice. Tap that follow button, and I'll see you next time.
I think that all the characters had different snippets of the 7 deadly sins, but it was they all had characteristics of all the 7 deadly sins. I just think it was phenomenally put together, honestly. I really do. I think it was amazingly put together. But let's keep going. Let go.
Blues is at the center of this film, and we all know that some of the best music comes from pain, but there is a scene in this movie that connected the dots for me in a way that has never been done for me in my life before. And of course, if you know what I'm talking about, it's the scene in the car, and the way that this story of pain literally transitions into a song was so beautiful.
Thank you.
What was it like showcasing really the core of what blues is?
I got to give credit first and foremost to Ryan, because that's what he wrote. I said to Ryan before we shot that scene, man, we need to go through it a few times. I need to find my sea legs, because in actuality, it was a much longer monologue. It was a 3-page monologue.
I would have loved that.
And I would have loved it. Yeah. That's another story. but no, he kept the meat of the thing. So he gave me the space to rehearse. Then he gave me and us, the 3 of us in the car, the space to work the scene. And the musical piece was an improv. It was not written. It came from what I was feeling in the moment. And my 2 colleagues in the car went with it. Mike principally, because I'm not sure Miles knew quite what to do. He's a young actor, and that's not a criticism. He wasn't quite sure, but Mike went with it, and Mike spoke and said, "Man, you got the guitar on there." And he picked, and Ryan kept the camera rolling. So the whole thing was embraced. I cannot tell you how gratifying it is to sit here and hear how that scene impacted you as an audience member, because the first cut that we saw in Los Angeles, they had cut that monologue out. Yeah. And I went to Ryan, I said, "Man, you can't cut it out, man." And here's why. It wasn't just a complaint from an actor. It was, these are the reasons why this monologue has to be in this film. And he heard me. And he agreed with me. And so it's back in. So for you to say to me, this is what this meant to me, and these were the dots that were connected, it's everything, man. It's everything.
Wow, that's interesting to hear that was an organic scene, because that was very really good. They were in the car and they were coming back from picking him up when they found him at the train station, because he was a drunk. And as they were coming back into wherever they were going to pick up some more people or do whatever they had needed to do, they were talking about, they seen the prisoners that he knew from being in trouble. Then he also seen the cotton fields, and he was just talking about his time in slavery and at the plantation. And then he ended up started going into a song. And then Michael B. Jordan had told Sammy, the character that, the guy that plays Sammy, to get the guitar to just start playing something. And to find out that was organic, and it was so impactful and so powerful to definitely feel it. Because one thing about the importance of music when you're facing oppression, it does something. It can uplift you. We have Congo Square down here, and during those times of slavery and just of Jim Crow, the African Americans and people of color went to Congo Square to dance, to listen to music, to be a part of their heritage, to feel at home. And it's the importance of music, that it can be a detriment or it can be such a positive and explosive thing. So that was neat. I like that. Let's keep going, man.
And this is called the Jumalin, a vampire legend from the Cherokee Nation. Are these all black indigenous tribes? Yep. In Indian folklore, vampire-like creatures include Vedala, Pishkash, Payala, Prey, all of whom share traits with the Europeans, such as a thirst for blood, nocturnal habits, and associated with death. So the Pikala is particularly known for performing ritualistic dances on corpses, a trait not typically associated in the indigenous tribe stories, more associated with European vampires. Possessions. Pashakas are known to possess humans, a trait found in the traditional European vampire mythos. It's crazy how these Europeans reside in these vampire stories so much. It's crazy. The classic conjurer. The Vadala, a collection of stories, features a Vadala and a central character. The Pishkas, nocturnal entities that roam cremation grounds, possessing humans and driving them insane. They are also known to feast on human flesh and blood. The Pekala, found in Tamalia folklore, these creatures are vampires of the battlegrounds, associated with war and death. They are known for viciously consuming human blood and performing ritualistic dances on their corpses. Similar to the Western vampires.
I thought it was important to put this in here because they did talk about that they didn't go in depth on the connection between the indigenous people, the Indians, and the vampires. So I thought that was pretty cool to add that in. And also in regards to the Europeans, Vlad the Impaler, which I think I talked about before with his connection with the royal family, he was known as the vampire in I think it's Transylvania. So yeah, like connections. Yeah. Let's keep going. I'm not saying that all Europeans are, but I'm just saying.
Annie represents the Great Mother, the sacred healer, the witch, the voodoo priestess. And her wisdom is actually what kept Smoke protected. And I also think that's what was protecting him while he was in Chicago, which led him back to her. They love in this movie, to me, as a black man and a black woman, was very powerful. A perfect combination when a black man and a black woman working together. And Smoke said he didn't believe in it, but I believe he always believed in it. Hence the mojo bag. He never took it off. Also, when his brother tried to bite him, it was the mojo bag that was protecting him. And when the vampires started to emerge, Annie was the only one who knew who they were. Annie is the one who told them how to be able to create the tools to destroy them. The wooden stake to the heart, and that garlic, baby. Yeah, go ahead, eat that garlic so I know you ain't no vampire. Now the scene when the Irish vampires was doing the dance ritual is important. Actually one of my favorite scenes as well too, because I love the metaphor in it. Now the indigenous tribes speak on these vampires or dark entities doing these ritualistic dances on corpses and graveyards. Now peep how the dead African American people surrounding him as he do his dance ritual. This is what you call mocking the culture. He's also the ringleader in the circus of the dead, you heard me?
Well, I mean, kudos to him again. I like his breakdowns. You guys probably see a lot more of him on my channel because I've been seeing some of the things he's been talking about and about things out here in New Orleans, and so you'll probably see a lot more of him. But nevertheless, he touched on something that I wanted to touch on with Annie. This is why I loved Annie. I like when she told him, "You ain't think I was praying for you?" Like that's one thing I feel is the essence of a woman. It's like I'm gonna cover you. I'm gonna pray for you. If there's anything I can do for you, I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna make sure I'm going to cover you and protect you in my femininity and my, because you're protecting me from in your masculine ways. So I'm going to protect you in my feminine ways, and I'm going to make sure I cover you. Because in the spiritual essence of a woman, man, we're not gonna get started. This is why I loved Annie, because she was there. Yes. So let's keep going. Then I cover you. I was interceding, protecting you. Let's go. So I love you.
Sinners Cinematic Universe? Oh, we eating good, people. First, we got Field of Sinners coming spring 2026. Then we got Tears of Sinners coming fall 2026. Limerick for Sinners coming summer 2027. 90s and Sinners coming winter 2028. Glitter and Simmers coming summer 2028. And Sinners 2 coming winter 2029. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so psyched for the Sinners cinematic universe. Let's go! Which project are you most excited about?
If that is accurate and true, I'm excited to see how each storyline is broken down. Yeah, I told you that's myself. That's me right there. Because at the 100th time, I like that. I just love the way they did that. I do. I love the way they did that. So we've made it to the end. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys got something from it. I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments. I'm also going to update my Discord because I feel like as we're going to be continuing to grow, my Discord is going to become very useful for you guys to send me different things that you guys want me to react to. Just send me information, and I'm also going to be putting my email address up there too, which is really just Ari Reacts, so ARIE reacts at gmail.com. It's easy. But, hit me up. Let me know what you guys think. Anything that you guys, hold on, my hair is in my ear. Anything that you guys want me to change or add to or whatever, just let me know. This is our community. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed the movie. I'm not going back to the movie theaters to watch it and pay for it, but I'll wait to go on streaming because I have basically every streaming thing. So I'm sure it's on one of them. So when it streams, I'm going to watch it again. But if you did see it, let me know for real how y'all felt about it. It was deep, very, very, very deep. But I don't think it was something that you shouldn't see. But to each his own. Everybody have their own opinions. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But I'm not going to hold you. It's been a long day. I have to get out of here to go run some errands and then take care of some things. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you guys soon. Less than maybe I'll be honest with y'all. So I have a bunch of field trips coming up that I have to go on with my youngest daughter because she's special needs. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then next week too. And then my birthday is coming up on May 1st. So, but I will get you guys a video, even if it's not as long. But I'm gonna get a video out to you guys soon. Before Sunday, I should probably have something going on. If not, I'll let you guys know in my community post. But until I see you guys again, and until next time, bye.